The 2 pink lines on the pregnancy test stared back at me like an accusation I could never outrun. "It's Kyle's," Emily whispered, her voice cracking as tears streamed down her face. She sat on the edge of my couch in our downtown Seattle apartment, the city lights flickering through the rain-streaked windows, while my world collapsed in a single sentence. My identical twin brother. The one whose life I had agreed to save in 10 days by giving him one of my kidneys. The same brother who had just made sure I would never go through with it. I stood frozen in the middle of the living room, the takeout Thai food I had brought home growing cold on the counter. Emily clutched the test like it was evidence in a trial. Her hands shook so badly I thought she might drop it. "Jordan, I'm so sorry. It only happened once. He came over when you were in Portland for that conference and things got out of hand. I never meant for this to happen. Out of hand." The words tasted like ash. Emily and I had been together for almost 2 years, but everyone who mattered knew the truth, or at least the version we told ourselves. She was my cover, my shield against my parents' endless questions about when I would settle down and give them grandchildren. They were conservative, church-going people who still lived in the suburbs outside Tacoma. To them, a son who was successful in tech but unmarried at 29 was a problem that needed fixing. So I fixed it with Emily, a kind, funny graphic designer who understood the arrangement because she had her own reasons for needing the facade. But I was in love with someone else. Lucas Reed, the man who made every secret moment feel like coming home. Kyle knew all of it. He had known for years. We were twins. Secrets between us never lasted long. Yet he had crossed this line anyway. I grabbed my coat. "I have to talk to him." "Jordan, wait." Emily started, but I was already out the door. The drive to Kyle's apartment in Capitol Hill took 15 minutes that felt like hours. Rain hammered the windshield. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. Every memory of my brother flashed through my mind. The way we used to finish each other's sentences as kids. The way he covered for me when I snuck out to meet my first boyfriend in high school. The way he looked at me last month in the hospital when the doctor said he needed the transplant soon or he might not make it. When he opened the door, he looked worse than I expected. His face was pale and drawn from the dialysis. His once athletic frame now thin under the oversized hoodie. But his eyes, the exact same hazel as mine, held no surprise. "You told her to tell me?" I said, pushing past him into the apartment. It smelled like hospital antiseptic and stale coffee. Kyle closed the door quietly. "I did." I spun around and shoved him hard against the wall. He didn't resist. "You got my girlfriend pregnant. Deliberately. You knew what that would do to me, to us, to the donation." He met my gaze without flinching. "That's the point, Jordan. I did it so you wouldn't give me your kidney." The words hung in the air like smoke. I stepped back, chest heaving. "What the hell is wrong with you?" Kyle slid down the wall until he was sitting on the floor, knees up. He looked small, defeated. "I'm dying anyway, slowly, painfully, and you're finally living the life you always wanted. Good job. Nice apartment. Him. Lucas. You deserve to keep both your kidneys and the future you fought for. I made sure you'd hate me enough to walk away. The baby seals it. Mom and Dad will never let you risk yourself for me now. Not when there's a child involved." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Came out broken. "You think impregnating Emily would make me refuse to save your life? You think that's how this works?" "I think," he said quietly, "that blood isn't always thicker than the damage we do to each other." I left without another word. The rain had turned to a downpour. I sat in my car for a long time, staring at the blurred lights of the city, wondering how 2 people who shared DNA could end up on opposite sides of a betrayal this deep. When I finally got home, Lucas was waiting. He had let himself in with the key I gave him months ago. He stood in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, reheating the Thai food. The sight of him, tall and steady with his dark curls still damp from the rain, nearly undid me. "Emily called me," he said softly, setting down the container. "She was worried. Said you stormed out." I crossed the room in 3 strides and pulled him into my arms. He held me tight, one hand rubbing slow circles on my back. No questions yet. Just the solid warmth of him. The scent of his cologne mixed with rain. The only safe place I had left. "She's pregnant," I whispered against his shoulder. "Kyle's the father." Lucas went still. Then he pulled back just enough to look at my face. His brown eyes searched mine, full of the quiet strength that had drawn me to him the night we met at a Tech for Good fundraiser 2 years ago. He had been there representing his nonprofit that helped kids in foster care. I had been there pretending to be straight for the company photos. He didn't say anything dramatic. He just nodded once, like he was absorbing the blow for both of us. "Okay, we'll figure this out. Together." That night we didn't sleep much. We sat on the couch with the lights low, my head in his lap while he ran his fingers through my hair. I told him everything. The arrangement with Emily. The pressure from my parents. The way Kyle had always carried resentment that I escaped the small-town expectations while he stayed closer to home, working construction until his kidneys started failing. Lucas listened without judgment. When I finished, he said, "You don't owe anyone your body, Jordan. Not even your twin. But I know you. This is going to tear you apart either way." He was right. The next morning brought the second wave. My mother called at 7. Her voice was shrill with panic. "Jordan Michael Hale, what is going on? Emily just called us in tears. Pregnant? By Kyle? Your brother." I sat on the edge of the bed, Lucas still asleep beside me, his arm draped protectively over my waist. I had to step into the hallway to take the call. "Mom, it's complicated." "Complicated? Your brother is dying and now this?" "The doctors said the transplant is his best chance." "How could you let this happen?" "Let this happen." As if I had orchestrated my own betrayal. I pinched the bridge of my nose. "I didn't let anything happen. Kyle made a choice. A choice that now means there's a baby coming. A grandchild. Your father is beside himself. He says you can't possibly go through with the surgery now. What if something goes wrong? What about the child?" The guilt trip was well rehearsed. My parents had been using variations of it my entire life. Stay close. Get married. Have kids. Be normal. I looked back toward the bedroom where Lucas slept. Normal had never been part of my story. "I need time to think, Mom." "Time? Your brother doesn't have time." She hung up crying. Lucas found me in the hallway, staring at the phone. He didn't ask what was said. He just pulled me back to bed and held me until the shaking stopped. Later that day, I met Emily at a coffee shop near her office. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes. She ordered decaf and kept her hands wrapped around the mug like it was a lifeline. "I didn't plan this, Jordan. I swear. But now that it's happening, I'm keeping the baby. I want this child." I nodded. I had expected that. Emily had always wanted to be a mother. The arrangement with me had been convenient for her too. Single, successful, no pressure for a real relationship. "What about Kyle?" I asked. She looked away. "He says he'll support the baby financially, but he doesn't want to be involved as a father. He thinks he's not going to be around long enough anyway." The words landed like stones. That afternoon I went to the hospital for a final pre-transplant check. The coordinator, a kind woman named Dr. Patel, reviewed my labs. "You're still a perfect match, but we need to talk about the psychological evaluation. With family stress like this." I told her the truth. Not all of it, but enough. The pregnancy, the betrayal, the doubt. She listened carefully. "Donating a kidney is a profound gift, but it has to come from a place of peace, not obligation or guilt. No one would blame you if you stepped back." I left the hospital feeling more lost than when I arrived. Lucas met me for dinner at our favorite Italian place on Capitol Hill. The candlelight flickered across his face as he reached across the table and took my hand. In public, he didn't care who saw anymore. "You've spent years hiding pieces of yourself to protect everyone else," he said quietly. "Your parents, Emily, even Kyle in a way. Maybe it's time to choose you." His thumb traced circles on my palm. The simple touch grounded me. That night, back at my apartment, we lay tangled together on the couch watching an old movie. His head rested on my chest. I played with his curls and thought about how different my life felt when he was in it. Steady, honest, real. But the decision loomed like a shadow. The following week brought the confrontation I had been avoiding. Kyle called me at work. His voice was weaker than before. "Can we talk?" "In person." I agreed to meet him at a park near the water in Fremont. Neutral ground. The October air was crisp, the leaves turning gold and red around us. He was sitting on a bench when I arrived, a beanie pulled low over his forehead. We sat in silence for a long time, watching the ferries cross Puget Sound. "I didn't do it to hurt you," he finally said. "Not really. I did it because I saw how happy you are with Lucas, how free. And I realized I've been holding you back your whole life. The comparisons, the expectations. Mom and Dad always measuring us against each other. When I got sick, it got worse. You were ready to cut yourself open for me. I couldn't let you." I stared at the water. "So you slept with Emily to force my hand?" "Yeah." He laughed bitterly. "Stupid, right? But effective. Now there's a baby. A future. Your future doesn't have to include risking everything for me." I turned to look at him. Really look. The hollow cheeks. The exhaustion in his eyes. My brother. My other half. "Do you want to die, Kyle?" The question hung between us. He didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was barely above a whisper. "I don't want to live like this anymore. Tied to machines. Watching you give up pieces of your life because we share DNA. The baby. Maybe it's my way of leaving something good behind." Tears burned in my eyes. I hated him. I loved him. The two feelings twisted together until I couldn't separate them. That evening Lucas and I took a walk along the waterfront. The city lights reflected on the water like scattered stars. He listened as I recounted the conversation with Kyle. When I finished, Lucas stopped walking and turned to face me. "I love you, Jordan, more than I've ever loved anyone. And because I love you, I'm going to say something hard. You don't owe your brother your life. But if you choose to give him your kidney anyway, I will be right there, holding your hand before and after. Because that's what we do." He pulled me close, right there on the sidewalk. People walked past, but in that moment the world narrowed to just us. His lips brushed my forehead. "Whatever you decide, you won't do it alone." The next day my parents drove up from Tacoma. They arrived at my apartment unannounced, my father stone-faced, my mother already crying. The conversation was brutal. My father paced the living room. "This family has always stuck together. Blood is blood. You walk away from your brother now, and what does that say about you?" My mother wrung her hands. "And the baby? Emily says she's keeping it. That child will need family. Stability. How can you think about yourself when there's so much at stake?" They didn't know about Lucas. Not fully. I had hinted, but never said the words. Until now. "I'm gay," I said quietly. The room went still. "I've been in love with Lucas for 2 years. Emily knew. It was never real between us. Not the way you wanted." The silence that followed was deafening. My father looked like I had slapped him. My mother sat down heavily on the couch. "After everything we've done for you," my father said, voice low, "this is how you repay us?" I stood my ground. "This is who I am." They left without hugging me. The door closed with a finality that echoed through the apartment. Lucas found me sitting on the floor afterward. He didn't say "I told you so." He just sat beside me and pulled me into his arms while I cried for the boy I used to be. The one who tried so hard to be what everyone else needed. The days blurred into a storm of emotions. Emily's pregnancy became public knowledge within the family. My parents called daily, alternating between guilt and anger. Kyle's health declined further. The doctors moved up the timeline. If I was going to donate, it had to be soon. Lucas took time off work to be with me. We spent quiet evenings cooking together, talking late into the night. One night he made me laugh so hard I forgot the weight on my chest for a few precious minutes. He kissed me slowly afterward, the kind of kiss that said more than words ever could. Gentle, reassuring, full of promise. But the tension between us grew too. One evening after another difficult call with my mother, I snapped at him over something small. He didn't snap back. He just looked at me with those steady eyes. I'm not the enemy here, Jordan. I apologized immediately, pulling him close. I know. I'm sorry. This is tearing me apart. He held me tighter. I see you trying to carry everyone. Your brother, your parents, Emily, the baby, me. You don't have to. Let me carry some of it. His words cracked something open inside me. I started therapy. The counselor helped me unpack years of people-pleasing and twin guilt. She asked the question no one else had. What do you want, Jordan? Not what you think you should do. What do you actually want? The answer scared me. I wanted to live. I wanted Lucas. I wanted a future that wasn't defined by sacrifice. But I also wanted my brother to live. The moral dilemma kept me awake at night. Was refusing to donate an act of self-preservation or revenge? Was giving the kidney compassion or self-destruction? Kyle and I met again, this time at his apartment. He looked friendlier. We talked for hours. Really talked. About our childhood. The fights. The laughter. The way he had always felt like the lesser twin even though we were identical. I was jealous, he admitted. You figured out who you were. I never did. Then I got sick and it felt like punishment. So I did the one thing I knew would make you hate me. Because hating me would free you. I cried then. Hard, ugly tears. He cried too. When I left, I still didn't know what I would do. The hospital called. Kyle's condition had worsened dramatically. They needed a decision within 48 hours or they would have to look for other options. There were none. Lucas drove me to the hospital. We sat in the parking lot for a long time. If you do this, he said, I will be there every step, but if you don't, I will still be here. I love you either way. I took his hand. I love you too, more than I thought possible. Inside, I sat with Kyle. Machines beeped around us. He looked at me with tired eyes. You don't have to do this, he whispered. I know. I thought about the baby on the way, about my parents' pain, about the years of hiding, about the man waiting for me in the hallway who had never asked me to be anything but myself. In that moment, something shifted. I chose me. I told the doctors I was withdrawing as a donor. The room went quiet. Kyle closed his eyes for a long moment, then nodded once. Thank you, he said softly, for finally choosing yourself. The words broke something and healed something at the same time. The weeks that followed were some of the hardest and most beautiful of my life. Kyle was placed higher on the transplant list. Miracles sometimes happen. A donor match came through 3 months later. The surgery was successful. He would live. Emily had a healthy baby boy. She named him Noah. Kyle sees him sometimes. So do I. The family is slowly healing in its messy, imperfect way. My parents are still struggling with who I am, but they are trying. Small steps. Awkward dinners with Lucas at the table. Progress. Lucas and I moved in together the following spring. Our apartment overlooks the water. Every morning I wake up to him making coffee, sunlight streaming through the windows. He kisses me like it's the first time every time. The betrayal changed everything. It forced me to stop living for everyone else. It showed me what real love looks like. The kind that doesn't demand pieces of your body or your soul. Kyle and I talk now. Not every day, but regularly. The anger has faded into something quieter. Understanding, maybe. We are still twins. Still connected. But the chains are gone. Looking back, I sometimes wonder about the price we all paid. The pain. The tears. The choices that hurt. But I also see the awakening. In the end, was it right to refuse my twin the kidney after his betrayal? Or should family and forgiveness have come first no matter the cost? What would you have done?